Hi everybody, how you doing today? Thank you for joining me on another video. I have a really busy week this week. It's going to be, I have a lot of stuff to do, so I'm probably not going to have time to set aside a specific day to record a video this week and go out and about and do the usual stuff that I usually do. So, and that I like to do because I like to do that because it's really nice for my own mental health, and it gets me out and about, and it gets me to see some of the areas where I live, in the local area where I live, and maybe appreciate them from a different point of view, rather than just going about my normal daily life. But it's going to be slightly different this week. I'm going to try and do a video today, really, and I'm going to do that video as I'm going about the things that I'm doing. That's probably going to be a bit boring for you, so I apologise in advance, but yeah, so that's what I intend to do today. I'm just going to carry the camera with me while I'm out and about, and do some filming, maybe a bit of chatting. So yeah, come with me for the journey, if that's all right. Thank you. So as you may recall from my last video, part of what I talked about was having the feeling of being stuck in a bit of a rut, not necessarily moving forward, and even at times having that feeling of going backwards. I also talked about material possessions, particularly those of my mum and dad's, and how I was going through the process of trying to free up space in my flat as part of the process of simplifying my life and removing unwanted or unneeded clutter. I suppose at the end of the day we all have our own idea about clutter in our lives, and by that I mean what we deem as clutter. I mean, some people may think my vinyl collection is clutter. Some may think it's my multiple sound systems and turntables, or my seemingly never-ending supply of paintbrushes and canvases. Some may even deem my bookshelf as clutter. As I stated earlier, today was just going to be a normal day. I was going to take some of my parents' items that I wanted to keep to a storage unit that I rent, and I also had to do some food shopping. And it was whilst I was shopping that I started thinking about how consumerism is almost forced onto us, and how buying things that we just don't really need fills our home with clutter and essentially keeps us financially poor. Now, I don't want to sound too negative here, but I suppose as I've become older, I've maybe become just a little wiser. And for me, the need to own everything and anything no longer exists. Over the years, I, along with so many people, have got caught up in the latest fads, trends and crazes. In all honesty, most of the time I've just been looking to fill a void, searching for that instant gratification that impulse purchase gives you, only to shove it in a drawer for the next 10 years, along with all the other impulse purchases, only to be eventually destined for landfill after serving no real purpose apart from giving me a buzz for 10 minutes or so, or at least until I check my bank statement. And I suppose maybe this is a bit of a sweeping statement, but we all have those gadgets that we find invaluable. My issue comes to the quality of that so-called stuff we are buying. If we think about it, these things are generally made poorly, and if we use them on a regular basis, we'll probably break very quickly anyway. What I'm saying is that if I look around my flat and see all these kind of junk things, it just makes my mind numb and prevents me from having clarity of thought. I think every home I've ever lived in has had a couple of kitchen drawers dedicated to bits and bobs and thingies, whatever they are. Generally they are things we no longer use or maybe need in an emergency. You know, that wind-up torch that you still need batteries to power. You know, I'm not against spending money. After all, the saying is true, you can't take it with you. And who am I anyway to judge or tell others how to spend their hard-earned cash? I've mentioned many times in my videos that I've had to move house many times since I was a young child. I can remember the preceding weeks before these house moves spent sorting drawers and cupboards full of these bits and bobs and thingies, throwing them away only to replace with the same unused bits and bobs and thingamajigs once settled in our new home. So for me, one of the things I've learned over the years is to spend wisely, and above all, if it is something you need to enhance your life and really want, then buy the best you can afford at that moment in time. In my humble viewpoint, and yes, that is a name check for a friend's fantastic YouTube channel, we have to get away from this consumerist treadmill we are on. I wonder how many of us have sat watching TV after a hard day at work, aimlessly scrolling through Amazon, searching for something to buy, not actually needing anything, not actually wanting anything specific, but just that feeling that we need to reward ourselves for our day in the office. In a way, so similar to the alcoholic who just wants to reward themselves with that nice glass of wine. Well, maybe two. Anyway, I'm sure you get the picture. The truth is, addiction comes in many forms. Developing negative behavioural patterns can slowly creep up. Next time you're in the kitchen, check in that cupboard or drawer where you keep the thingamybobs. Is your craving to own bits and bobs getting out of hand? Because this is the important bit. You may be not addicted to the bits and bobs. You may be addicted to the process that goes into obtaining them. Similar to the ritualistic cork popping sound that someone with an alcohol problem may find so comforting. So getting back to my original point, my records, my art things, my clothes, all things I love, maybe my own addictions, granted. But I never buy anything with the thought in mind that if it breaks I would just replace it. For me, if something does break, it needs to be repairable, not just replaceable. My clothes need to last longer than one wash before falling apart, and my vinyl collection will still be there for future generations to enjoy. Can we say that about everything we buy? In simple terms, be a connoisseur, not a consumer. Quality over quantity is such a valid statement, and in turn helps to maybe break the cycle of spend, consume, discard and re-spend, not only supporting a healthy bank balance but also a healthy mind. So for me, I shall continue to declutter my life from the bits and bobs that no longer serve me, opting to have those possessions around me that nourish, inspire and comfort me when needed. These things, these books, these records, these paintings, they're not merely possessions, they're my story.